Hello everyone and welcome to the second class of Maya modeling. So basically we have the first class already recorded. Probably it's already going to be uploaded very soon over the internet. Now this is the second one. In this class I am going actually to continue showing you some of the techniques. I mean last time I showed you, for example, how to deal with modeling, how to deal with polygons, what are they, and how, for example, to extrude certain polygons, and of course we made by the end an airplane. But in this time we are going to explore more other polygonal tools, let's say, so you can actually make use of them once we get to our serious modeling task. Okay. So basically there are several ways of modifying polygons other than extrusion. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So let me try to choose here a cube, and I hold, by the way, okay, let me delete this. So shift, right click, and select a polycube. Okay, and then while holding the shift key, I'm gonna lift mouse button, click and drag, and I will form a cube over here. By the way, guys, since we are live, you just simply stop me wherever you feel like you are dropped, or or you have been missed me somewhere in the middle. Okay. All right. Now I'm gonna hit the 5 key on the keyboard just to get the shaded mode. Okay. Now in here, I'm gonna there are several ways. Of course, we've seen one, a couple the last time. So if I hold the shift and right click while I'm in the object mode, okay, so make sure that you go to right click and select object mode. Of course you can do it in the component mode, but it's going to be easier here. Hold on the shift key and right click, and you can in fact do several stuff to a polygon. Let's say you can, for instance, insert an edge loop. So for example, once I select an edge loop, I get such an interesting mouse pointer, and I can click once and just keep the left mouse button click hold, because as you can see here, I didn't leave it yet. I can actually drag where this excuse me, where this edge is gonna be. Okay, so once I leave my left mouse button, I get the split over here. Of course, I can go further and add more. So for example, I can stop right there, for instance, so I get like 2 divisions or 4 divisions if you think about it like that. Of course, I can add one more, and once you finish the tool, I just simply hit the W key so I can like go to the move tool. So right now I can simply start modifying my object. Of course, if I go to the object mode and select it again, as you can see here, I have added more edge loops to my polygon. Now there is also one important thing here. If you hold on again the shift key and right mouse button click, you have the insert edge loop tool, but you have as well the option box beside it. Okay, this small box which I'm highlighting right now. If I leave my right mouse button, right now I've actually get my tool over here. Now excuse me, now I have several options here. If, of course, when I click I add one, right? But you could, where is the options for, yeah, sorry, we have a question here. Where is the option for these center dots? You can have them from Window, I believe, Settings, Preferences, and you go to Preferences. Okay, and once you choose References, in the Display section you have, I believe, Polygons, and once you choose that, you have, where is it, Faces here. So in the Faces section over here, so Faces, and I checked out Centers. Is okay, Mostar? It will not show to you, by the way, automatically, probably. So probably you have to recreate the object again. So in case if you didn't see the dots right away. Now, if I could actually like enable multiple edge loops, so I could uh, enable that I can, for example, instead of inserting only one, I could even insert like more, like 3 for instance, and I click here and I get 3 of them right away. So this is quite handy in case that you know that you would like to add more detail to your object. Now there is a very important thing you have to understand while inserting an edge loops or while adding geometry or adding detail. It is that the when you are making your object, try to make it incrementally, in an incremental way. Some people just simply like, okay, my object is gonna be, let's say, 30,000 polygons. I'm gonna add these 30,000 polygons. I'm gonna start editing them right now. This is wrong. You shouldn't do that. You have to build your object gradually from the top, from the bottom to the top. Okay. So first you block your object and then start adding to topology, adding edge loops, and so on and so forth until you get much smoother or a much smoother object, or you get your target at the end. Okay. Now the problem with this thing, which I showed you right now, is if I select insert edge loop again, I will get those 3. Okay. So basically, once you modify such a tool, okay, let me go to the object mode again. Okay, sometimes it happens that I get my edges look like that, which kind of annoying, at least for me. So I get usually rid of them, like I hit right click and choose edges, and then I select them like so, and then I deselect, so the highlight will go. Okay, probably it's a glitch with a rendering thing, or probably it's something I've done wrong, but generally I see them a lot, so I usually get rid of them in that way. Now if I go and select the insert edge loop tool, we had a problem with these things. We have 3s, so if I go here to the option box again, you have a small button here called reset tool, okay, which will reset. Once I click it, it will reset the tool to its default Maya settings. So right now, once I click and drag, I can have my my edge inserted only one as it was by default. Okay, so let me hit the close button over here, right click and choose object mode. Let me see here. There is one more feature, very interesting feature we're going to use a lot in our modeling, which is the offset polygon tool. So if you hold the shift key again and you hold the right mouse button, there is the offset edge loop tool. Now what it does is, once you click on an edge, as you can see here, it creates for me 2 edges which exactly the same as the edge which I'm clicking on. Okay, and once you drag your mouse to the right, they get farther away. Once you get to the to the left, they get a little bit closer. Now this is quite good when you would like, for example, to add some certain geometry by once you get closer to the to certain edges like these. So for example, this is in fact the same exact effect when I, for example, add the insert edge loop tool twice. So this is exactly the same effect. The difference here is I'm just doing this at one step. Okay. Of course, there are other options and there are other cases that even it performs better than inserting edge loop tools, but this one is much easier to use. So offset edge loop and oops, let me click over here. So for example, as you can see here, I can offset that part of an edge. Now as you can see here, okay, because I have destroyed the topology of my cube right now, it looks very awkward. But if I hit the W key, right click, object mode, okay. Now if I go here and select and write and type 3, as you can see here, I've got because of my edge loop tool, I got very interesting kind of detail over here because I offset the edge. I added more geometry to that side, so at the end when I smooth it out, it cannot smooth, like this compact geometry. So at the end you get some sort of a crease here. This is quite good, for example, in case if you are modeling a car. If you look at cars from the side, their bumpers, you have some sort of like a crease over the how can I say, over the wheel. These bumpers over the wheels, you get like sort of a crease like for cars. Let me see here if I can bring up one through Google over here. So car, I don't know, let me see. Um, anyone? Probably. Yeah. Okay. Let me grab this one. I believe it's the favorite for everyone. Probably. Okay. So you see this crease, this part, this crease. This could be good. For example, this could be like a compact polygons quite near to each other, so they can actually form to you that creasing kind of effect, which you can actually see in our polygons. Let me try to find even a better example, which could be quite obvious. Yeah, okay, this BMW could be good. Oops, something wrong here. Okay, now let me. Why on earth am I having this? Okay, let me try to find another one. Yeah, why not? This would be good. Because I know it's an old car, but who cares? But you see here, this is the crease part. This is what I'm talking about. This could be, for example, simulated through a small, like, compacted edge. Yeah, it's Bugatti as far as I can see. So, as you can see here, it's like these edges are actually has been creased. So this part where you can have this kind of thin, you know, like this kind of a thin effect. Okay. That's what I was actually talking about in terms of such thing which you get. Okay, this is for the inserting. Right now we know how to insert edges. We know right now how to offset edges. Okay, so let me delete this because it's completely busted. I'm gonna choose, by the way, holding the shift and right click and choose a polycube, and while holding the shift, left mouse button click, and there is one more cube. Now what else I wanted to show you? There's one more feature that most of the people like the effect of. When I select a face, okay, while the face is selected, if I right click and choose edge, right now the face is still selected, please hold the shift key and select any edge. So I will select this one. Okay, now once I've done this selection, there is in the edit mesh, let me just click on this dash line over here to tear off that menu and put it on the side. There's a very interesting feature called wedge face. So if I click on it, boom, you get actually this. Now it looks actually cool in terms of a feature. Did anybody lost me right there when I made this wedging? Anyone? Fine. Please just, you know, like, if somebody lost. Okay, okay, nobody's lost. Okay, great. So this is how to wedge a face. This is one of the interesting features as well here. There's one more feature which could be interesting as well, but I have to think about how to approach it. So, okay, let me put this to probably till the end. So, there's one more feature called poke face. It's not for poking like the poking part, I mean poking with the hand, but generally poke face, when you hit it, as you can see here, I get my face has been split up right now into triads. Okay, so right now it's triangles. Let me try to see here in the option box. Yeah, well, okay, the offset is always in the world scaling. Okay, so basically once you poke a face, you just simply like have it split into triangles. Right now we have triangles. I know we have to avoid them, but in general it's a nice feature. Probably you're gonna use it one day, so I'm gonna just leave it right there. Also, what other stuff I would like to mention here? Yes, merging. This is very important. Let me close this. Now sometimes it happens to be that once we make an object, what we'll do tomorrow on class, this is gonna be OpenGL and programming, so this is for sure. Okay, continuing over here, shift right click, or excuse me, right click and choose a face, and let's say shift right click and extrude it. So I'm gonna move it right there, Okay, so I can actually show you some of the merging parts here going on. Now sometimes, let me right click and choose object mode. Now sometimes it happens to be that for some certain reason you would love actually to merge two vertices, and we're going to use that a lot while for example working with our 3D model. Now how to do that? When you right click and choose a vertex, so I'll choose the first vertex, I'll choose the second one, and shift and right click, and as you can see here in my marking menu, if I go here and say merge vertex, you know, as you can see here, just, you know, navigates immediately to another submenu. If you are lost for some certain reason and would like to get back, just go to the center, I believe here, and you can in fact get back to where you are lost. Okay, so in case that you are lost like this. Now I'm gonna just simply say merge vertices to the center, and as you can see here, I got my vertices merged right away. So right now when I drag a selection over here, this is one vertex. Now some of the people sometimes make a mistake, I mean during the modeling sessions, and they put two vertices beside each other. They are so close that nobody notices them, and then suddenly I find when I select a vertex or when they smooth an object, they get a very weird kind of an effect. I see that like right away when I see that when I look at it, I immediately recognize that they had two vertices that are not merged yet. Okay, so basically please take care when your vertices are not merged, because you're gonna get really awkward effects when you intend to. So, okay, sometimes some people do like this. Let me snap this vertex, so let me move it. I'm gonna snap it right there. Some people does like this, really, guys. So once you select them, you can see here when I drag a selection, you see this is number 2. So 2, that means there are two vertices selected. They are not merged. Okay, and you can know that by just simply clicking on a single vertex and move one away, and as you can see here, I got this one separated. Okay, so please take care about that. If you intended to merge your vertices, just simply select them both, shift and right click, merge vertices. In my case, I'm going to use merge to center. Right now, when I marquee select, as you can see here, I have got one vertex is selected. This is very, very, very important tool. Okay. Another important tool that I would like to show you is the add subdivisions, like add splitting. There you go. Not split vertices. Let me go to object mode. So right click, go to object mode, shift and right click, split polygon tool. This is very, very important tool, because sometimes when I click here, sometimes you would like actually to add more details. Now let me show you what other people do. Well, let me show you the right way, and then I'll show you what other people do. So basically, you have to click on an edge, and as you can see here, if you look carefully, okay, I cannot actually hang on. Let me hit the backspace. Oop, for now. Okay, any vertices here? No. Okay, let me show you right now. So if you shift right click and just choose the split polygon tool, if you click over here, you're gonna see actually on an edge, whatever edge you have, you're gonna see actually a dot moving along. This is a vertex, okay, a potential one, if you will. So once you add a vertex, once you put one, once you are satisfied with one, just leave the left mouse button. Right now, one vertex has been added. Now, if I click over here on another edge, I will add one more vertex, which will in turn give me one whole edge. And I can actually go like so. Okay? Like so. Once you are done, okay, I'm just here, I'm not taking care about any rules whatsoever. Sometimes you see, sometimes your polygons are non-planar or non-convex, if you will. So sometimes you get the edges disappearing here. Don't worry, it is there, as you can see here. I've got piece of a line with a vertex here, so no, don't worry about that. And I will move along here. And then if I would like to close the loop, I will click and then drag completely. Oh, it's not merged, probably. Because you see, if I drag completely to here, it has to stop automatically. It snaps, okay? But if it doesn't snap, we can actually even merge them, so no worries about there. So once I clicked here, once I finished, well, once you finish, just hit the Enter key, and then you get your edge, well, whatever you split, whatever edges you added manually added. Okay. Let me right click over here and choose vertices, and let me see how this look like. Oh, it's 1. Okay, I put it so close that it became 1. Okay, so basically we have got 2 vertices. In fact, 1 vertex. In fact, if you had 2 vertices, you can just marquee select both and then just shift right click and merge vertices to the center, and it will work fine. Okay. Now, let me show you what other people do while working with such a tool. If I go and say split polygon tool, they sometimes would like to add more detail, so they add vertices like this, and then they hit enter, and then they choose again the same tool, and they add one more here, and they hit enter. The problem is when I right click and say vertices, I get one more vertex here. I don't know where is that, the other one is gone, but anyway, let me add one. Okay, there you go. So enter vertices. So right click vertex. Right now I've got 2 vertices over here, and this is really a huge problem. If you look at it, how many polygons you have, how many sides you have, this is called an n-gon. So n as in November. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So six polygon size you have on your polygonal object or a single face. This is really bad. This is the first thing which I usually notice from beginners. These mistakes are really bad, and at the end I had to like delete these vertices because they are not needed, like they are useless. Also people do this. Let me right click and go to object mode, shift right click and split vertex or split polygon tool, and then I will choose, and then I'll make just those 3 over here, and I'll hit enter. This as well I have seen so much. Please do not leave details dangling in the middle of your object like this one. This one is a loop that hasn't been finished. I've returned so many 3D objects that has been made that they had like, you know, this polygon or this edge has been created in the middle of nowhere, and there's no telling where that edge begins or ends. I mean, it has to be, I mean, there's a telling of course where it ends and begins, but you have really to close it because it is really bad practice, and you get an awful polygonal object. And of course at the end, once you start rendering it or importing it into your game, especially in any kind of gaming engine, you will get really completely weird effects. So please take care very much about these details. Okay. So basically, if you cannot for any certain reason insert an edge loop like this, so most of people have this edge loop goes until here. Okay, because either your normals didn't allow you to, or your objects are not behaving properly. So if you have such an effect or you have such a problem, you go ahead in the object mode, shift right click, split polygon tool, click and drag until you stop at the edges. You can see here I'm dragging even more and the point doesn't move. I click over here and drag, the point even doesn't move, and once I finish, just hit enter. Right now I completed this side. Shift right click and let me add an insert edge loop, and as you can see here that edge loop will not work. Yeah, because I have additional detail which is not completely correct. So at the end I will hit the shift right click, split polygon tool, drag until the end to snap to a vertex, click over here and click over here to snap to a vertex. and then hit enter. Right now I have got a complete polygon, okay, or a complete loop, if you will, if you catch my drift here. Okay, so it is very, very important. Please always close your loops. Another thing, please try to avoid as much as possible triangles or n-gons when you're creating your models. Try to make it as quad as possible, okay? Because once we try to convert them into triangles, once we import them into Unity engine or Unreal engine or any kind of gaming engine, these polygons are going to be converted later on to automatically to triangles, and if you had any problems with your topology, then you're gonna have quite awkward rendering effects in your movies or in your games, whatever. A topology, by the way, or a polygonal topology, it describes how the edges and vertices, if you will, or faces, so basically how the edges looks like in your model, how they are laid out. So if you're talking about topology, if we think about it, the closest, how can I say, the closest the closest example to us, if you look at your body, your skin, okay, has a topology, okay. You have your I don't know, your fingerprints. You have your creases in your arm. For example, I'm talking about the creases. I'm talking about when you go and look at your elbow. Okay, when you twist your arm, the topology of your skin doesn't. It actually follows your muscles and everything, because if you don't have a correct topology, your skin will be twisted in a very awkward way. Okay, this is I believe the closest example to a topology. We're gonna hit that terminology several times when we start working with our serious modeling task. Okay, and it's going to be a car from 1941. So basically we're going to have to take care very much about how our car topology goes, and we're going to discuss that heavily there. Okay. All right, so we have the split polygon tools. We already know the bad practices, the good practices, so the stuff which we have to avoid, the stuff which we have to take care about. Let me see here. Before I go forward then, is anybody else lost, or does anybody have questions before I cover the other new tool? Okay, is everybody is following, or just they are, or you are guys just watching, you know, like sitting on a chair and just watching, enjoying the show? Okay, great. Then you are following. Okay, great. This is one following. Okay, one guy is just watching. I don't know what does it mean. So please, I mean, elaborate. Another well, okay, this is, I mean, this is quite awkward, by the way. This is, you know, it's a yes no question. It's not, you know, like, you don't have a neutral kind of answer. Well, okay. Now let me can you imagine that this was a queue a couple seconds ago? Anyway, let me delete this. Okay, and let me show you how to select several stuff. I hope that I have covered everything right now. So, oh yes, one more thing. Sometimes it happens to be, let me try to see if I can do this. Okay, let me select a face, right click and choose an edge, shift click on an edge, and shift right click again, and oh, it's not there. Okay, no problems. I'll go here in the edit mesh menu and drag it right there and say wedge. Okay, so I'm wedging a face again. And another one, I'm gonna wedge even another one just for fun. I will select a face, right click and choose an edge, shift click that edge and wedge that guy as well. Okay, so we have two wedged guys. All right, there's a very important thing you have to understand about normals. Okay, probably while you are working in Maya or 3D Max or Blender, whatever program you are using, you don't have a problem with these stuff. I mean, you just see them normally. You're probably going to have a problem once you are rendering them, or once, for example, you start heavily modifying these polygons and then suddenly you get darker faces and brighter faces. Can just explain how we can cut the object to half. Can you please elaborate exactly what do you mean by half? Cut it by half, like inserting an edge loop? Is that what you mean? Like shift right click and insert an edge loop tool and doing like so? Is that what you meant? Okay. To separate them. Aha, so you would like actually to separate this, for example, let's say separate that piece from the upper piece, let's say, for example, is that what you meant? Aha, okay, this is actually quite easy. There are several ways of doing it, and in fact it's a good one too, so I can show you how to close holes. This is actually one of the, actually this was the second thing which I wanted to show you. But here you go, another feature. If you right click and choose faces, okay, sometimes again you would like to separate these objects, okay, so we would like, for example, to extract this piece away from this, let's say from this column. Alright, so I will select all the faces like so. Okay, so make sure that you selected the faces which you want to separate. Alright, and once you do that, there is a very interesting option called extract face. You have it here in the shelf. You could shift and right click and you say extract faces. Okay, and you can of course get them from edit mesh, so you have 3 places to get them from. So extract faces, so shift, right click and extract faces. So this is while my faces are selected. Now, if I, as you can see, I get a manipulator that looks like the extrude. If I click on that arrow, click on the arrow, not on the box, and just simply drag it, and as you can see here, I get very awkward effect. So I'm going to choose the world transformation. So clicked on that circle and moved it away. Okay. So right now, if I right click and go to object mode, right now this object is separate from that object. This guy is completely different. Now of course you have a problem because your pivot point is there, so whenever you would like to move your object, it's just, you know, it's just quite far away. If you would like to make this pivot point near over here, you can just but before I do that, I will show you why you probably could, why the pivot point is moving, and it's actually a good feature rather than a bug, or if you think it's a bug. If you go to modify, you have an option called center pivot, but do not do it right now. Okay, so I want to show you something about the pivot points in a second here, before closing holes and before showing you how to append to polygons. Basically, if I hit the E key to rotate, now the object, once I rotated it, it will actually start rotating around that point. So it will rotate around the pivot point. So if I click over here on that blue circle over here, which represent the z-axis, as you can see here, my object is actually being rotating around that pivot point. Okay. Now I could actually move that pivot point manually by hitting the insert key. So if I hit the insert key, right now I have the freedom of moving that pivot point like so, or like so, or like so. And once you finish editing the placement of the pivot point, hit the insert key again. So right now my pivot point is just right there. If I hit the E key, as you can see here, my object will rotate around that pivot point, and of course it will rotate around that way, you know, in that way. Of course this goes for scaling, by the way. So as you can see here, the scaling is different. And when you scale, you see how it scales? It just moves while scaling. It just doesn't scale only, it just moves while scaling. Just moves and scales. Now, if this is a problem for you, You could go over here and say modify and center pivot. Right now when you hit the E key, when you rotate, as you can see here, it's completely different. It just simply rotates around itself. Okay, so previously we had this effect, so let me move that pivot point right there. Insert key again to commit. E to rotate. You see the difference? Oh man, here you go. You see? Now if I go to modify and center pivot, right now it's completely different effect. This is quite good, for example, if you would like to animate doors, let's say. So for example, if you had a door somewhere here standing, and you would like, for example, to open a door or close a door, this is the best way to, you know, like to animate the door. So move the pivot point to another place and then start rotating the door, opening it and closing it. Now, at our hands here, we have got a small problem. As you can see here, I've got two holes in my objects, and I would love to close them very much, okay? In my case, of course. So basically, if I look over here, in order to close this hole, I will just simply right-click, choose the edge, and then click on each edge I have. All right, so every edge I chose over here. And once I am done, shift and right-click, and choose the option called Fill Hole. You can again, of course, get it from Edit Mesh. You can, of course, get it again from the shelf probably. If it is not on the shelf, then probably you can get it as well from here. So shift right click, fill hole. And as you can see here, it immediately filled the hole for me. So right click, object mode. Okay. So right now I have a separate filled object. Sometimes it happens to be that your object is in fact, as you can see here, I have difficulty, by the way, in moving and zooming in. It goes slowly. This is because my object, my camera is actually focused somewhere else. To fix that, select the object and hit the F key. Okay. So right now I am perfectly focused on the object. There's another way as well to fill in a hole or add faces, is by shift right clicking, I believe, and you have a tool called Append to Polygon tool. Now once you select that, this part starts to be bolded, okay? And if I click once here, I have the idea where actually I could append. So I could immediately, for example, go over here and click on that edge. And as you can see here, I've got immediately a square. Sometimes right now it's easy, but sometimes it happens that it is not enough. Okay, it's probably you have to click several times to reach and close a surface. Probably we're gonna see that. Excuse me. Probably gonna see that again in once we get to our serious modeling. We're gonna append to polygons, closing holes, and so on and so forth. We're gonna do a lot of stuff for sure, but I'm just telling you what are the tools you have at hand right now that probably you can use and show off over the forum. Okay, so let me hit enter. Once you finish, of course, you have to hit enter, by the way. And as you can see here, I filled a hole. Okay, so this is a couple ways how to fill a hole. Now, of course, in order for the that option, so let me delete that face again. Right click, choose an edge, and select all these 4 edges. So right click, this fill hole option, okay, there has to be 4 edges or 3 edges at least in order to fill a hole. This is the first thing. A second thing, the normals of the edges has to be pointing out correctly. Okay, this is the part where I wanted to tell you it is very, very important. Opa. So let me choose object mode. Okay, starting the object. If you go, I believe, to display, let me tear off the menu of the polygons. So go to display, polygons, and tear off that menu. Now in here, I can choose the face normals. Now face normals are very, very important. As you can see here, all of them are pointing out. Now in case that you are making a game and you are saying, okay, there's a guy who is entering the room, then since you are inside the room, in order for the game engine or the graphics engine to render this correctly, you have actually to have these normals inverted to inside. Okay, and let me tell you, let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me select that face and just simply get rid of it. Okay, so, and let me select that face, and you have in the menu here called normals, you have where is it? Here you go, reverse. So once I click on reverse, right now that, you know, that vector, actually it's a vector, normalized vector, is normalized vector means, I believe it's the vector divided by its magnitude. Okay, so remember that. So basically I get a normalized vector that only shows me the direction only. Okay, that's what a normal is. We're gonna see that a lot in OpenGL. So basically, as you can see here, all the polygons are pointing out except for the one which is inside, which is pointing in. Okay, in most game engines, like in most graphics engine as well, like in Unity or like in Unreal or probably Crytek. I haven't tried it before. Probably, I mean not probably, for sure, if you have actually this polygon showing to the opposite side, whenever the camera will look at the polygon, it will consider it as doesn't exist. Because when you are working with polygons, when you are, for example, when the graphics engine starts to render stuff, it will not render everything for you. It will just simply render the stuff which you need. So if it says that the face is pointing to you outwards, then it will render, it will calculate the shaders, it will calculate the reflections and the effects for the outward part. If the face is pointing, but for the inward part, for example, for this part, for example, so this one is pointing out, shaders, reflections, shadows are going to be calculated here. But this part, for the other side of the polygon, it will not be calculated. Because if you had into account this side and this side, you are killing your computer. You will never get the 30 FPS at all. Okay? So this is a very, very important point here to mention. So I'm going to choose again that face. And in the normals, I'm going to reverse the normal. As you can see here, it came back again. Alright? So this is like the face normals. If you are having trouble seeing your normals for some certain reason, you can crank up your normal size like so. So right now I get bigger normals. This is for people who need to see those in case you are making a game and you have a problem. You saw the object in Unity that you have, for example, a face that is inverted and you don't know why, or you have a face that disappeared but you have it in Maya, so this is a good way to debug. In case that you don't like them at all, just simply click on the face normal again and they will go away. Okay, so this is about closing holes, separating objects from separating polygonal objects from each other, and yeah, and this is it, I believe, for this part at least. Okay, so are there any questions? Somebody, did somebody have lost or anything? Okay, waiting for the questions to be typed. No pressure here, take your time. When we then when we actually making wedge, will that be a problem later when we have triangles like that? That's a very good question. Edin, okay, I will answer that right now. For Edin Brodich, sorry for pronouncing your name wrong. For Edin, in order to switch on and off the normal display, you go for display, polygons, and face normals. And once you want to get rid of them again, so you go to display, polygons, and face normals again, so they disappear. Yes and no, kind of like, it's actually yes and no. In fact, you can actually fix that if you know what I'm talking about. So basically, I could go here to an edge and just simply delete it. And right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. You get me? And select this one and delete it. Right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have actually 4 edges. So this actually can be fixed. Okay, so did I answer your question? Great. Now I have, oh, of course I have to delete it from the other sides as well, so we can keep, so we can actually keep the model, and let us close the holes over here. So I'm gonna select all these 4 edges, shift right click, and fill hole. Okay. Alright, basically, right now I already got 45 minutes on my clock here. I'm going actually to I'm gonna actually stop recording here and pause, having a break. So I hope that we will not lose the recording, and then we're gonna come back again and finish the other tools, okay? So stopping right now.